Welcome to EstateScope, the channel where we expose the hidden forces shaping today's real estate markets. From climate risk to insurance pullouts to overlooked government policies, we break down what's really behind the headlines and what it means for your investments, your home, and your future. If you're into real estate with a twist of investigative reporting, hit like, tap subscribe, and ring the bell icon so you never miss a story that could impact where you live, what you buy, or how you build. Now, let's get into what might be one of the most overlooked real estate catastrophes of the decade. Could a 2025 federal shutdown actually crash home prices in Virginia? That's the question a lot of people are quietly asking right now, especially in Northern Virginia, where entire communities are tied to federal paychecks. But here's the thing. The truth is a lot more complicated than any headline. Today, we're going deeper. This isn't about hype or politics. This is about real data, real buyer behavior, and what's really happening across Virginia's housing market. We'll explore how shutdown risks, interest rates, and local economics are colliding, and what that means if you're buying, selling, or just trying to figure out whether to move in 2025. Let's begin where it matters most, the numbers. Statewide, Virginia's housing market isn't crashing, but it is shifting. In August, the median sale price hit $430,000, up 3.6% from last year. Days on market increased to 17, while active listings surged 26% year over year. It's still a seller's market, just not the red-hot sprint it used to be. New listings were up 7.6%, and pending sales rose slightly at 3.4%. We're seeing a rebalancing. Buyers have more choice, but sellers are adjusting expectations. That $30,000 over asking price play? Less common now. You need to price right to get activity. To fully understand the landscape, let's zoom in on specific local markets where shutdown anxiety is highest. This is where the shutdown risk hits home, literally. With over 185,000 federal jobs tied to Virginia, and a large percentage concentrated in Northern Virginia, any delay in paychecks or furloughs starts shaking confidence. But ironically, Northern Virginia isn't crumbling. In Arlington, the median home price jumped 11.5%. In Alexandria, up 7.9%. Inventory, up 40%. But demand is still red hot. In Vienna, 7 to 10 buyers are competing for the same home. In Burke, homes needing serious work are selling $100,000 over asking to cash buyers. Fairfax County, new listings down 3.2% year over year, but DOMs still low. Buyer competition remains strong in well-ranked school zones. Loudoun County, median home prices remain high. Luxury estates like the $15.5 million Middleburg sale show that top-tier demand has not disappeared. Prince William County, slight price softening, but townhomes are selling quickly. More first-time buyer action here. So why are people still buying so aggressively? Because many aren't worried about a long shutdown, and they're betting on home values holding. But the risk is still real. Let's break down the fear. A government shutdown means that non-essential federal workers are furloughed, sent home without pay. Essential staff must work, also without pay, until Congress passes a funding bill. So what does this do to housing? Federal home loan processing, like FHA and VA loans, may slow down. Some buyers hit pause. They need pay stubs or loan clearances. Sentiment drops. People delay big purchases. Closings get pushed, sometimes fall through. But here's what doesn't happen: mass selling. The Congressional Budget Office and the Office of Personnel Management both confirm that most furloughed employees stay put. They wait it out. Paychecks resume, and people move on. Even Governor Glenn Youngkin acknowledged the stress in a February 2025 press event aimed at supporting federal workers. We care about you. We have a support system in order to help you find that next great opportunity. Still, what if this time is different? If the shutdown lasts more than a few weeks, that delay stacks up. Closings slow, listings linger, sellers get nervous. we may start seeing price cuts, especially for homes on the market more than 21 days. But even with longer DOM, demand hasn't disappeared. Northern Virginia Association of Realtors and George Mason's housing forecast both show prices may flatten, not fall. Because under all this, inventory is still low and buyer demand is still pent up. Governor Youngkin's message has been clear. Virginia is ready. In March 2025, he said, "It enables us to feel confident that if there is a bump in the road, we can deal with it." The state has a financial cushion. But will that stop buyer fear from spreading? Let's be honest, fear sells. Headlines are screaming DC housing crash, but when you zoom in, it's just not true. Yes, layoffs and buyout programs in the federal workforce exist, but buyers aren't fleeing. They're still showing up with cash, waiving contingencies, and writing offers before homes hit the market. In West Springfield, a home went pending before it could be shown. In Arlington, $1.4 million homes had 6 pre-inspections and sold $100,000 over list. In Burke, one home had 2 cash offers 12 hours after listing, even though it needed serious repairs. So, where's the crash? It's not here. The fear is louder than the facts. One under-discussed factor in the housing equation is return-to-office policy. With federal agencies and major employers shifting expectations, buyers are recalibrating. Some are moving closer to DC. Others are holding on to their remote-friendly lifestyles, even if it means a longer commute. Sherry Ranama, a Fairfax-based broker, says, "If government workers are called back into the office, it will be a plus for local restaurants and services. But for buyers, it means one thing. Proximity to transit is golden. Homes near metro lines and expressways are commanding top dollar. And towns like Reston, Vienna, and Springfield are seeing the benefit." Now here's the real pressure point: affordability. With mortgage rates hovering around 6.27%, buyers are stretched. First-timers are getting boxed out, especially with stagnant income growth. So they're turning to VA down payment grants, closing cost assistance, multi-generational loans, townhomes instead of single families. Condos still lag due to high fees. But if you're a seller, pricing smart and offering closing help could make all the difference. So what happens next? Scenario 1. Bullish rates dip into the 5s. Inventory stays low. Bidding wars return in the second quarter of 2025. Prices climb modestly. Scenario 2. Bearish shutdown drags. Job losses rise, buyers retreat. Inventory builds. Prices drop 5 to 8% in outlying areas. Scenario 3. Baseline short shutdown. Modest rate decline, more listings, more negotiation. Prices flat with variation by county. Most experts? They lean towards Scenario 3. Renting versus buying in a shaky market. Some would-be buyers are now eyeing the rental market instead. So what's the trade-off? In many counties, rents have plateaued or ticked up slightly. But buying still offers long-term wealth building, especially if you plan to stay put. Monthly rent on a 3-bed in Loudoun, $2,900. Monthly mortgage on a $475,000 home at 6.2% with 10% down? About the same. The catch? Closing costs, down payment, and job security. So if you're unsure about stability in your job, renting makes sense, but if you're rooted in the region, buying now and refinancing later could pay off. This isn't about fear, it's about fit. If you have a stable job, a long-term plan, and a good mortgage offer, it might still be your time. Look at DOM. Over 21, negotiate. Price cuts, trending up. Loan programs, take advantage. Governor Youngkin echoed that sense of local stability. Virginia's economy is flexible, and workers often stay rooted. His budget team says the state could weather short-term shutdown shocks with its rainy day fund. But if your job is uncertain or you're trying to time the bottom, wait, watch, and stay informed. When people talk about a federal shutdown, they often miss just how deeply embedded the federal workforce is in Virginia's housing market. From Alexandria to Prince William County, federal jobs anchor entire neighborhoods. Congressional research data shows just how concentrated these jobs are. Over 185,000 in Virginia alone, with dense clusters near D.C., defense hubs, and federal contractors. These aren't just any jobs. Many come with stability, security, and income that supported consistent mortgage approval. If these paychecks stall, it doesn't just affect buyers. It ripples through lenders, agents, and builders. Lenders are already tightening loan requirements for buyers with government income. Some builders are slowing pre-sales until they know federal buyers can close. That's how interconnected it all is. The housing market is balanced on a federal foundation. And when that shakes, the whole system gets nervous. The 2025 shutdown debate is exposing more than political dysfunction. It's showing how fragile our housing policy framework really is. There's no emergency plan for federal housing freezes, no statewide housing relief system for furloughed workers. Local governments still rely heavily on property tax revenue, which means they don't like uncertainty or inventory dips. Zoning laws in Fairfax, Loudoun, and Arlington continue to block the construction of smaller, affordable homes, even though it's exactly what the market needs. We're building homes for yesterday's buyers, not tomorrow's. And that's why affordability collapses under pressure. When even middle-class government employees start losing buying power, it's a sign the system wasn't built for resilience. Not everyone loses in a shaky market. Buyers with cash, especially investors, see stalled markets as a goldmine. With fewer competitors and motivated sellers, they can negotiate harder and close faster. New construction builders sitting on spec homes may offer major discounts to offload inventory quickly. Even some sellers benefit. If you're listing a fully renovated, move-in-ready home in a high-demand zip, you might still get a bidding war simply because inventory is low. And let's not forget real estate agents who specialize in REOs, short sales, or distressed closings. They often thrive in slow markets. When the system stutters, someone always finds a way to profit. Beyond the shutdown, the 2025 election aftermath is still sending shockwaves through Virginia's housing landscape. New executive orders affecting federal job relocations, office return mandates, and departmental restructuring are actively shaping buyer behavior. Some agencies are being moved out of D.C. entirely. That changes commute dynamics. And it changes demand in specific counties. A buyer who once targeted Arlington may now be looking in Richmond or even out of state. Budget tightening could reduce contract work. That means less income for the thousands of workers in adjacent industries, IT, logistics, consulting, all of whom buy homes here. Local leaders are calling for housing investment, infrastructure flexibility, and a new deal for the region's federal-dependent economy. But so far, few policies are in place. One thing is clear: shutdown or not, politics will continue to shape Virginia's housing future. Why? Inventory still won't fix itself. One of the most misunderstood aspects of Virginia's housing market is inventory. Even with more homes listed this fall compared to last year, we're still nowhere near pre-pandemic levels. And here's why that matters. Many homeowners are locked into ultra-low mortgage rates, often below 3%. They're not eager to sell and give up that deal. That's keeping would-be sellers on the sidelines, even if prices are high. Meanwhile, builders are cautious. Material costs, labor shortages, and economic uncertainty are holding back new construction. Some counties still make it hard to approve multifamily or mid-density housing, the types of homes that could help meet demand. So, what happens? You get just enough inventory to keep things moving, but never enough to truly rebalance the market. That's why bidding wars can happen even during a shutdown scare. That's why first-time buyers still struggle to find homes under $400,000 in most parts of Northern Virginia. Don't expect a flood of listings in 2025. Even with all the political noise, inventory will remain the pressure point. Virginia versus other states. How shutdowns hit differently. Virginia isn't the only state with heavy federal employment, but the impact here is different. Why? Because it's not just about Washington, D.C. spillover, it's about how deeply integrated federal contracts, agencies, and clearance-based jobs are in the housing economy. Compare it to Maryland or even parts of California. The loss of confidence and ripple effect on local businesses is sharper here. When Northern Virginia slows, nearby economies feel it too. How contractors get hit harder than federal employees. Federal employees may face furloughs, but many contractors face outright income freezes. And unlike federal staff, they don't always get back pay. For housing, that matters. Mortgage approvals tighten, pre-approvals expire, deals collapse. Contractors are often younger buyers or newer owners, which adds volatility to the lower to mid-priced segments. Let's look at the past. The 2013 and 2018 government shutdowns were very real stress tests for housing markets in places like Virginia. In 2013, roughly 800,000 federal employees were furloughed. Mortgage applications dipped, but home prices stayed steady. The key impact? Delayed closings, not canceled deals. Lenders worked overtime to navigate uncertainty, but buyers still showed up. They just waited a few weeks longer. In 2018 to 2019, the shutdown lasted 35 days, the longest in U.S. history. The market in no VA slowed temporarily, but again, no crash. Homeowners weren't fire selling. Buyers didn't walk away, they paused. This pattern reveals something important. Shutdowns don't cause housing collapses, they cause hesitation. The longer they drag, the more caution creeps in. But the moment a resolution hits, demand often comes roaring back, especially in federal-heavy markets like Arlington, Alexandria, and Fairfax. Understanding this gives us perspective. Shutdowns shake nerves, but they don't break the system. The psychology of uncertainty. In real estate, people don't buy homes with just their wallets. They buy with their emotions. Uncertainty leads to hesitation. Even when interest rates are stable, if buyers don't feel confident about their job or income, they pause. Shutdown talk fuels that fear. Even if people are unaffected directly, they become cautious. Fewer open house visits, fewer pre-approvals. That mindset shift slows the market more than any policy. Where sellers are getting it wrong. Some sellers are still pricing as if it's 2021. They expect multiple offers. But in today's market, those expectations backfire. Homes that don't sell in the first 2 weeks lose steam. Buyers think something's wrong. The result? Price cuts, delays, and concessions. Sellers need to understand the new rule: price to match demand, not your neighbor's success story from 2 years ago. How local governments are reacting. Counties like Arlington and Fairfax are watching closely. Why? Because a stalled market affects tax revenue. Some are proposing fast-track permitting for affordable housing, emergency housing relief for furloughed residents, postpone property tax payments. Not all of it is approved, but the conversation is happening. And that alone shapes expectations. Insurance costs and natural disasters. The silent partners in housing fear. Let's talk about something buyers often overlook: insurance. In Virginia, especially coastal or flood-prone areas, insurance premiums are rising fast. Some homeowners saw their flood insurance double in the past 2 years. Why? Because of changes to FEMA's flood zone maps and increased claims due to storm surges. In places like Hampton Roads and even parts of Northern Virginia, with creek or river exposure, buyers are backing out after discovering monthly premiums could exceed $300 to $500. Meanwhile, wildfire risk in more rural counties has also spooked some insurers. Combine that with the broader exit of national insurers from high-risk markets, and Virginia isn't immune. And remember, insurance is part of the total monthly payment. When rates are already high, even a $150 insurance increase can disqualify a buyer. Builders in limbo. How new construction is being reevaluated, some builders in Virginia are pulling back. They're canceling land deals, halting new phases, or converting townhomes to rentals. They're waiting to see, will rates fall? Will demand hold? Will policies stabilize? What does this mean for the public? Fewer new listings, fewer entry-level homes, and more build-to-rent models. Virginia's housing future. What needs to change? So what's next? What needs to evolve if Virginia wants to be resilient, not reactive? 1. Zoning reform. Too many counties still restrict medium-density housing. Townhomes, duplexes, and courtyard apartments need to be easier to build in desirable locations, near transit, jobs, and schools. 2. Fast track for first-time buyers. Programs like Virginia Housing's DPA and grant support are great, but they're underfunded and underpublicized. We need better outreach, simpler approval timelines, and fewer bureaucratic delays. 3. Emergency mortgage relief. Just like unemployment insurance, there should be a statewide reserve to support homeowners during major federal disruptions. Local jurisdictions should push for flexible property tax payment options too. 4. Build-to-rent oversight. Investors are buying up new construction just to rent it out. It's creating short-term affordability but long-term displacement risk. Virginia needs a strategy that supports renting without eroding ownership. 5. Housing data. Transparency. Buyers, sellers, and agents need better real-time visibility into trends, not just stale month-old stats. The state should invest in open housing dashboards at the metro and county level. If these steps aren't taken, the next economic shock won't just cause market hesitation. It could lock out an entire generation of Virginians from homeownership. Home buyer sentiment is changing in real time. It's not just prices that shape the market, it's mindset. And right now, buyers are more cautious, more informed, and more emotionally reactive than ever. Agents across Northern Virginia report that even minor news stories, a new executive order, a headline about layoffs, or a bump in mortgage rates are causing buyers to back out or pause. This isn't panic. It's what we call buyer's sentiment drag, a slow, invisible force that cools the market even when the data looks solid. People don't just buy homes with money, they buy with confidence, and confidence is in short supply during political showdowns. Real stories from the field. What buyers and sellers are saying. Behind the charts and forecasts are real people. Let's zoom in on the realities playing out across Northern Virginia. Fairfax County couple, federal employees. After months of searching, they finally found a townhome listed at $515,000. They had VA loan pre-approval, but once the shutdown hit, their lender paused underwriting because one of them was furloughed. Despite multiple extension requests, the seller refused to wait. They lost their $550 inspection fee, and now they're back to renting, but their rent went up $250 this year. Loudoun County seller, mid-priced home. The home, listed at $699,000, sat for 28 days. The seller was confident. It had quartz counters, new floors, and a backyard deck. But showing activity dried up. Their agent convinced them to reduce to $675,000 and offered $10,000 in closing cost credits. It sold 2 weeks later for $665,000, a $34,000 gap from expectations. Arlington defense contractor, a first-time buyer with a strong income and 770 credit, put in an offer on a $795,000 condo near Clarendon. Then, during the contract phase, his employer paused salary due to a delayed federal payment. His pay stubs were missing for 2 weeks, long enough for the lender to kill the deal. The condo was later relisted and went to a cash buyer. Alexandria family downsizing. Retired federal workers trying to sell their 5-bedroom home and move into a condo closer to Old Town. They received 3 offers, all below list. Why? Because the buyer's agents warned them about possible price softening tied to federal job cuts. They accepted a low offer just to avoid being stuck with dual mortgages. Prince William investor bought a fixer-upper last year and listed it this fall. Despite professional staging, high-end finishes, and competitive pricing, the home sat. The feedback? Too many buyers were watching the market or worried about a job freeze. Eventually, he pulled it from the market and is now offering it as a rental instead. These stories are real. They're sourced from agents, lenders, and home buyers in Virginia right now. And they illustrate one thing clearly. The market is under pressure, not just economically, but emotionally. The rental market response. What happens when people pause buying? They rent longer. Rental demand is spiking, not just in apartments, but in townhomes and single-family homes. In Fairfax and Alexandria, rental listings that once sat for 20-plus days are now getting multiple applications in under a week. This means rising rents. And that creates a paradox. People who want to buy are now paying more to rent, but can't qualify to buy. It's a cycle that keeps pressure on affordability and further delays wealth building through home ownership. The role of credit scores and debt. In 2025, another factor flying under the radar is credit health. High interest rates have pushed more people into credit card debt. Student loans have restarted, and new car loans are some of the most expensive in a decade. This affects mortgage approvals. The average FICO score for approved loans is still well above 700. That means many working-class buyers are effectively locked out, even with solid income and down payment help. Recent reporting from the Washington Post and Virginia Mercury also suggests the financial pressure isn't just on paper. It's affecting real lives. Federal job cuts, delayed salaries, and furloughs are impacting borrower eligibility and loan progress. Some lawmakers are responding. In October 2025, Senators Mark Warner and Tim Kaine proposed legislation to shield federal workers and contractors from eviction and default during shutdowns. Additionally, Bright MLS data shows that 40% of agents in the DC metro area say their clients' decision to buy or sell was directly influenced by federal workforce disruptions. According to Northern Virginia Magazine, listings are up approximately 39% year over year, but homes are sitting longer. A clear sign that fear is slowing the approval pipeline and that debt burdens are growing more fragile. This isn't just about scores, it's about confidence. And what happens when it vanishes in a market built on trust and timing? Agents, lenders, and brokers under pressure. It's not just buyers and sellers who are navigating stress. It's the professionals in between. Real estate agents are doing more counseling than selling. Lenders are re-explaining approval timelines weekly. Brokers are negotiating harder with listing agents just to keep deals alive. In this environment, experience matters more than ever. The pros who survive aren't just good at contracts, they're good at crisis management. What to watch? In the next 90 days, to wrap it up, here are 5 things to track between now and early 2026. Federal budget negotiations. Will we face another funding lapse? Mortgage rates. Will we break below 6% again? New inventory levels, especially in No VA and Richmond rental price trends. Will they keep climbing? Policy announcements. Any moves from Governor Youngkin on housing resilience. These are the signals that will shape not just headlines, but home prices. Shutdowns are disruptive, but they don't define the market. Virginia's housing landscape is deeper than politics. It's about people, policies, and persistence. This state has been through bigger storms, and it bounced back every time. So stay sharp, use real data. And if you found this helpful, subscribe, and drop your city in the comments. If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who cares about the future of real estate. Estate Scope is here to decode the headlines and help you make smarter, safer moves in a rapidly changing housing landscape. Stay alert, stay informed.